In the late evening of August 18, 1991, Vermont fell to the harsh rainfall from Hurricane Bob. This rainfall has caused flooding of riverbanks, damages to flooding to roads, highways, and bridges. More than 250 state roads have been closed due to these damages. Millions have lost electricity, and many homes have been affected by these flooding, which has caused many to have to leave their homes. We will not be able to assess the true amount of damage until we gain the use of roads, highways, and bridges. The FEMA team, along with local, state, and voluntary resources, are assessing the damage and the needs that will be needed to help along the recovery. At this moment, FEMA is analyzing the risk in order to reduce the risk for now and in the future. FEMA and the resource teams will be handing out food and water to those affected by the flooding. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has announced that federal disaster aid has been made available for state, local, and not-for-profit organizations for emergency work and repair of damages. Federal funding has also been made available to hazard mitigation measure for all counties of the state. FEMA will be assessing the impact of the hazard throughout the recovery process and developing a structural approach to limit the hazards that may come in contact with people, property, and the environment. FEMA will be complying with the National Flood Insurance Program along with building shelters within the community. At this moment, we are asking people to listen to their local news program or the NOAA radio service for updates in their area. We also are asking for people to watch the weather for extended rainfall, even though the thought of tropical storm has ended due to the extended flooding. If you become separated from your family, or a family member has become separated from yourself, please stay calm and follow a design family plan that you may have mapped out, or you can contact the American Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS. If it is impossible to return to your home, then please text SHELTER, SHELTER, including your zip code, to 43362. You will then receive a text about a shelter in your area. Drive only if it is necessary, and please avoid flooded roads and washed out bridges. Please remain away from any loose or dangling power lines. If you do find a dangling or loose power line or with any sort of damage, please contact the electric company so they can repair the damage. Stay out of building affected by fire, flooding, or has the smell of gas until declared safe by authorities. Please use flashlights instead of candles and turn the flashlight on before entering the building in case of a gas leak. Please keep your pets in direct contact and stay away from wild animals. Do not use tap water or drinking or preparing food until it has been cleared by officials in case of contamination. If you feel that the refrigerated food may be spoiled, then please throw the food away. Please leave the telephone for emergency calls. Generators are for outdoor use only. Do not use them inside to the home due to the carbon monoxide poisoning. First, we will be working with local and state resources to assess the damage. We will then direct incident managers and response organizations to the jurisdiction to train and act. We will then integrate NEMS with system-wide emergency operation policies and plans. We will then develop and implement a public information plan, identify all resources, and ensure accessibility of communications. There will be a management and command center set up in Vermont. At this command center, you will be able to find an organizational chart set up to provide information on which entity is responsible for which entity. Each entity will have a chain of command. In local areas, this chain of command will be your mayor, fire chief, or police chief. Each of these entities can be found in each county and will have contact with command center. Communication will flow from the command center to the local entities. The command center will also be delegating the use of resources and having those resources provide materials that are in need of in the best of our abilities. We have prepared for situations like this with the use of proper training, of fire and police departments, the public health departments, government agencies, and emergency organizations that will be able to focus on the national policy to identify and prioritize infrastructure and resource to prevent and mitigate the effects. The public health concerns that we have is unsafe living conditions, no food or drinking water, separation from family members, inability to evacuate, inability to assess the community shelter, and illness or injury that has occurred, and the ability to access a hospital. Although all populations are at risk, our most concern is with children, the elderly, and those with disabilities. Some long-term health effects may experience are an increase in asthma, dermatitis, arthritis, and chest infections. We advise you to see an emergency health provider about these conditions. Due to the intensity of the situation, you or people around you may feel stressed, have anxiety, or feel depressed. If you are feeling any of these effects, please try to get to an emergency responder. Be assured that we are doing all that we can to lessen the effects of this natural disaster.